Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. In this video, we're going to be talking about the top 15 films of the year in the order of their release. I'm going to begin with Ram's Peranbu. Now, if you look at this director's globalization trilogy, that is Katrathu Tamil, Thangameengal and Tharamani, there was a lot of angst. But Peranbu is the exact opposite. It is his most calm film. It's his most gentle film. This is a very moving drama about a father and a daughter with cerebral palsy. Mammootty and Sadhana play the father and daughter. The first half of the film is set in the middle of nowhere and in the middle of nature, and then in the second half we move to the city and there is a sense of paradise being truly lost. And the filmmaking conveys this beautifully. In Ram's films, we always sense much love for the protagonist. In Peranbu, we see much love for the medium as well. Next up is To Let by Cherian. This is a very earnest portrait of a couple that's trying to get a house to rent in a big city. The twist is that the guy is a filmmaker. The man is a filmmaker. He's not one of those IT guys who can readily pop out money and get a fancy apartment. The couple is played by Santosh Shriram and Sheila Rajkumar, and the filmmaking is as real as you can get. There is not even a background score. And that's when you know the film is good, because even without a manipulative score, you still get to feel what's happening between the man and the woman. She loves him, yet she's frustrated by him. The very real nature of the filmmaking almost makes you want to coin a new term, staged neorealism perhaps, because there are beautiful scenes like the ones where the husband and wife have a small conversation and there's a grinder grinding away in a small corner. It's as pure a moment of poetry as you can find. Next up is Magiri Thirumeni's Tadam. Here we have a spin on one of the oldest of masala movie tropes, the double role, played by Arun Vijay. He plays Kavin and Edil, but unlike the old masala movies where one guy would be fully good and the other guy would be fully evil, here both are morally complicated people. After a murder, both of them end up suspects, and we think we know who done it, but do we really? The twists keep coming. And despite some low points, I was not especially happy, for instance, about how easily the motive is explained away. This is a very delicious and very pulpy whodunit. Next up, Naveen Nanjundan's Satru. At first, we think this is going to be another of those movies where a young actor like Kadir is trying to jumpstart his career by playing a cop. But rarely has a mainstream cop seemed so vulnerable, so out of control with the events spinning around him, and so evenly matched with the villain who's played by Paran. This man heads a child kidnapping ring, and the film is a very focused, very tightly shot cat and mouse thriller that uses locations beautifully. Next up, Super Deluxe by Tyagarajan Kumar Raja. I have not summoned up the guts to watch this film again after the first time I watched it, simply because I was so dazzled by it then. I was afraid that a second watch would make me see that there are indeed some flaws here. So in my head, this is still the year's most dazzling film, a fantastic companion piece to Aranyakandam, which kind of extends that film's universe. It is ambitious, it is unique, it is blessedly amoral. It is both epic and intimate. It is a long, slow fuse that keeps burning and burning until the big bang at the end, which is actually the big bang that the universe began with. Or is it? Super Deluxe has the year's best craft, and Vijay Sethupathiy's trans woman act is truly one for the ages. Next up is the year's most delightful film, Monster, directed by Nelson Venkatesan. This is a live-action cartoon about a man who battles a rat in his house, and S.J. Surya was born to play the part. His cartoony rigidity, his jerky expressions, everything fits. The director reveals a wonderful eye for slapstick ballet, and several sequences are staged like cartoon dreams. Monster is a wonderful combination of situational and verbal comedy, and at a time when so much of our humor is so mean-spirited, this is a wonderful reminder of how gently laughs can be evoked. Next up is Game Over by Ashwin Saravanan. Now, this is a film that keeps you guessing about what kind of film it is. Is it a serial killer thriller? Is it a supernatural revenge story? Is it a psychodrama about a video game designer played by Taapsee Pannu who's afraid of the dark and suffers from a condition called anniversary reaction? Or is the film itself a video game? Or is it a depiction of PTSD? Or is it a female empowerment saga? The brilliant thing about the film is that it's all of the above, and instead of cohering into a logical story, the various shards of information, the various narrative pieces keep assembling into a kaleidoscopic kind of jigsaw. Next up is Ramprakash Rayappa, Suttu Pidikka Uttaravu. Now, this is a solid little thriller that keeps building with single-minded focus towards a solid little twist. Even with small flaws and a relative lack of finish, the film keeps hurtling along. It's a thriller that keeps you invested, it keeps you interested, And in Michigan, it has a great protagonist, a cop named Ibrahim. Given the state of the world today, it's inevitable that the terrorists are portrayed as Muslims. We need an Ibrahim to right the balance. Next up is House Owner, directed by Lakshmi Ramakrishnan, who continues her quest to tell solid and solidly written stories about women. This time, the story is about a middle-aged woman named Radha and played by a superb Sri Ranjani. She has to look after her husband, played by Adukalam Kishore, who has Alzheimer's. The film is set during the Chennai floods of 2015 and it has a superb narrative conceit that keeps cross-cutting between the older and younger versions of this couple. So instead of wallowing in misery with the present-day couple trapped in these floods, we reflect on them through the golden moments of the past. This may be the most intimate movie ever made about a calamity, and it is a reminder to cherish love when we have it. Next up is probably the year's most controversial movie thanks to its trailer, Adai by Ratnakumar. Now, what are we like when our naked self is revealed, our inner self is revealed to society? Adai literalizes this conceit with the nudity of the protagonist, played wonderfully and bravely by Amala Paul. Now the trailer again, it made me think that this woman would be a victim, but the film amazingly portrays her as somebody who's a bit of, frankly, pardon my French, a dick. I was constantly torn between feeling nobody deserves this plight, and because of what this woman has done in the past, I kept thinking also that if someone deserves it, it's her. The only problem is a very talky closing portion. Otherwise, this is probably the year's most interesting morality tale. Next up is one of my favorite films of the year and one of the year's best cast films, Sivappu Mandela, directed by Sasi. Now, this is an Agni Natchatram-like action drama woven around warring brothers-in-law, played by Siddharth and G.V. Prakash Kumar. Now the story may revolve around the two men, the two big name stars, but it's Lijamol Jose as G.V. Prakash Kumar's sister and Siddharth's wife, who's fantastic. The character loves her brother, but she also sees that her husband is a good man and she's torn in the middle. There are many solid combination scenes for these various characters, and they all bring out various sides of relationships, which I really enjoyed, because this kind of relationship drama or writing for characters has become increasingly rare in Tamil cinema. Next up is R. Parthiban Sotha Serappu, which looks like a murder mystery. It's about a man who's being interrogated in a police station, but it is also a morality tale about haves and have-nots. This is a one-man show all through, and unlike earlier films with a single protagonist, there are other people in the same room, but we don't see them, we only sense their presence. Parthiban uses several devices to push the boundaries of conventional storytelling. For instance, it's the way he uses Ilaiyaraaja's music, not just to signify the past in a lazy manner used by other filmmakers, but to actually define characters in the present. The staging is deliberately theatrical, and the film breaks the fourth wall and makes us feel we are actually in the presence of this man. Is this a stunt? Yes, but it is a very entertaining one. Next up is Vetri Asuran, where a young boy from a farming family, an impoverished and oppressed farming family, ends up killing a local big shot. His father, played by Dhanush, gets afraid that the big shot's henchmen will hack them up to death. So he escapes with the boy to the nearby forest. Now, coming right after Dhanush Vetrimaran's extraordinary Vada Chennai, it's a film that I loved. Asuran evoked mixed reactions in me. The screenplay is brilliantly cyclical, that is, what happens in one generation finds chilling echoes in the next one. But the character arcs aren't convincing, the timelines feel rushed, the messaging seems overt, and the massification of the whole thing seemed a little force-fitted. And yet there is no denying the power of the mood or the material. Vetrimaran manages something very difficult. He manages to leave behind a distinct signature even in the most generic of templates. Next up is KD Engara Karuputhurai, directed by Madhumita. Now imagine these two characters. On the one hand, you have an old man who's lying in a coma, and his family wants to arrange this system called Talaikotal, which will end up in the man's death. And on the other hand, you have a young boy who's named Kutti, and he has been abandoned by his family. Now this is the story in which these two characters get together, these two tragic characters get together. So what would you expect the tone of the resulting film to be? I certainly didn't expect a laugh out loud comedy, and that is what Madhumita has accomplished with crackling chemistry between the two protagonists, played by Naga Vishal, the boy, and Mu Ramaswamy, the older man. KD is the kind of movie that you wish we got more often, serious enough to be about something, yet not taking itself too seriously. It's like the reverse of the cycle of life. It begins with death and ends up very life affirming. And finally, we have Adhiran Athirai's Irandam Ulagap Porin Kadaisi Gundu. Now, this is a Paran production and it has a lot of the things that you expect in the filmmakers' films. It talks about caste, it talks about migrant laborers who are landless, it talks about unionization. But instead of a focused story along these lines, the director infuses many tones. It is part thriller about a missing bomb, it is part road movie, it's part social tract, it's part regular comedy, it's part black comedy, and it all comes together in a stream of consciousness style. Now, this is a very impressive debut and it works very hard to earn the space for its messages. So these are my top picks of the year. What are yours? If you feel I've left out something, do talk about it in the comment section below. Keep watching Film Companion South, and from all of us here, a very happy 2020 to you.